President Ruto, welcome to the program. Can I just ask you, when you see everything that you guys are trying to figure out how to contain this week at the UN, what stands out for you most as the biggest danger that affects you, for instance? Is it Sudan? Is it the Middle East? Is it Ukraine? What is the big issue that's on your mind?
People came out onto the streets. You tried to restore order. There were many people in those protests who were killed.
Peace and stability architecture that is supposed to solve those problems.
Firstly,
and that is the big discussion here, is how to reform the United Nations Security Council so that it stops being an impediment to world peace and security and becomes a facilitator of diplomacy and of dialogue. As we speak today in Sudan, we have close to a million people who are facing starvation.
That is
we have serious
and restoring law and order
security issues. We have serious humanitarian agencies. And it is our position
in Nairobi,
in Sudan,
the protests,
it's thanks to the United Nations that now a resolution has been made so that African peace operations can now be funded by assessed contributions from the UN. That will give the African Union additional capacity to manage the situation in our continent, including the situation in Sudan.
So let me ask you, Mr. President, because you've tried to intervene in a certain way. You have hosted the RSF in your country. I assume to try to get them to back down. I don't know, you tell me. But right now, the Sudanese army is on the offensive again. Where do you think the solution lies? And what response did you get from the RSF?
Has serious climate conditions. I have hosted
we swung from a flood
Burhan, who is the SAF leader,
and we have serious issues, and we are trying to manage and mobilize
who is the
domestic resources, working with different actors.
I have hosted
if it doesn't work,
the former Prime Minister and a host
Kenya is now stable.
Political leaders
we are moving
and
into
other
the future in a predictable,
because I believe that the way
to
get Sudan
Mr.
out
President,
of the
how will
current
you do that?
quagmire
Because
is
clearly you were
through
advised
dialogue
by,
and diplomacy.
your own economists
I am persuaded, like many, that a military solution will not come out in Sudan, and that is why Kenya is deeply invested and engaged in finding a solution, bringing together all the actors. This will not be solved by talking to the military men alone. We need to talk to the political leaders, women, civil society, to find a solution. In any case, the revolution that removed the dictatorship in Sudan was a people's revolution, which was hijacked by men in military uniform, and they have made a mess of the country. We believe that it is time the international community look at Sudan much more keenly, because we are having a humanitarian disaster in the offing in Sudan, especially because of the famine that is imminent. Famine is going to possibly kill more people than the guns are killing in Sudan.
And we can be able to do more.
Mr. President, you speak very frankly, talking about a mess conducted by the men in uniform in Sudan and elsewhere. And you've also called, I heard you say, reform of the UN Security Council and reform of the African Union. And I'm wondering whether the African Union is fit for purpose, and how you judge and analyze, for instance, the belt of coups that have taken place in previously democratically elected governments in Africa, from Burkina Faso and
people came out onto the streets.
What's going on your continent?
Tried to restore order. There were many people.
I want to tell you, Christian, that as we discuss the reform of the UN, we are invested as Africans, and I am leading because my colleagues in the African continent assigned me a reform of the African Union itself,
for your information,
to make the executive more fit for purpose, to ensure that the parliament holds the executive much more accountable, and to bring on board the African of justice, so that we can sort out issues in our African continent. We are also working on African
in order.
Financial institutions, African Development Bank,
enforcement agencies,
Trade Development Bank, to build the necessary ecosystem for us to be able to sort out our problems in the continent. So even as we push for the reform of the UN, we are reforming our own Africa Union. And I want to promise everywhere in the February next year, I am going to be tabling managed by the reform and initiatives and programs that may have to the summit of the heads of state for approval and for implementation. That investigates.
Can we move across the world to this Western Hemisphere here, where you are also engaged, and you just visited Haiti?
So
I mean, everybody remembers the horrendous reporting and pictures of the gangs, not just violence, but control of Haiti. You sent several hundred peacekeeping and policing forces there, and you say you're going to send more. It's still not stabilized. What are the challenges, and how long do you think it's going to take to actually, get it under control?
Domestic resources. Working with I was in Haiti a couple of days ago. If it doesn't work, we try I was a different way. Impressed by the progress that has been made into the future by the 400 predictable, orderly MSS security personnel that we sent from Kenya.
Mr. President,
working
how
with
will
the Haitian
do that?
police.
Because clearly you
Today,
were advised by, I assume,
the guns
your
are
own
silent at the airport.
and
There is more traffic at the
that
airport.
you needed to start
the guns
raising
are silent
funds.
at the
you
palace, which was under siege.
Taxes or
The guns are silent in the National Hospital that was under siege. The National Police Academy that had been overrun by gangs.
How will
Today
you do what
is
you
training
need to do
police
without
officers, and the port is much more
upsetting
calm.
the people who can't afford
My
it
assessment,
and
listening to the
trying
commanders,
satisfy your own
listening to the
people?
leadership in Haiti, is that we need additional personnel. The challenge is resources, logistics, and equipment. And we have had several meetings at the UN, led by Canada. I'm going to have a meeting with Secretary Blinken after this interview because we believe the job in Haiti is doable, the leadership is aligned, and the forces on the ground are asking us for equipment, resources, and logistics, and they will be able to manage the debt situation. As I talk
let
to
me
you,
move back
inflation is down
to your own continent and what you just touched on, and the idea of development, prosperity, how you can only have that with peace,
without
right?
pushing too hard.
Clearly,
the people can
everybody watched what happened in your country not so long ago. You are under a crippling debt, and you were trying to figure out how to repay the IMF debt and others, and you wanted to impose taxes which were very few and scarce actually in Kenya. And it backfired. People came out onto the streets. You tried to restore order. There were many people in those protests who were killed. And then you had to walk it all back. So firstly, did you do the wrong thing by sending the troops out against people who were protesting that they couldn't afford these taxes?
For your information, Kenya is a robustly democratic country. And protests are part of our democracy. The freedom of people to associate and to choose what to do. That is perfectly in order. Restoring law and order is also the responsibility of law enforcement agencies. What in Nairobi, apart from the protests, were criminal gangs that burned down parliament, burned down the chief justice office, burned down people's property. Those happened like everywhere in the world. To be managed by our security agencies. And any excesses that may have occurred, there is an independent policing authority that investigates and those may have overstepped their mandate into account. So what happened in Kenya is perfectly in order. We are trying to manage the situation. As you have said yourself, we have serious debt issues. We have a world that has serious climate conditions. We swung from a flood into a drought, and we have serious issues, and we are trying to manage and mobilize domestic resources, working with different actors. If it doesn't work, we try a different way. Kenya is now stable. We are moving into the future in a predictable, orderly manner because we are a democracy.
Mr. President, how will you do that? Because clearly you were advised by, I assume, your own economists and international economists that you needed to start raising funds. You needed to get some taxes or however you raise your funds in order to pay down the debt and to, I guess, pay for development. What is your next step on this issue? How will you do what you need to do without, upsetting the people who can't afford it and trying to satisfy your own people.
It is always a balance. It is always a balance. Most of the situation that you saw, part of it was occasioned by misinformation, fake news, and many other aspects of the protest. More explanation is going into our strategy going into the future. We are working with the international community to find concessional funding, long-term and long-term to manage our situation, to manage the debt situation. As I talk to you, inflation is down from 9 to 4.3%. Our exchange rate is now stable, and we can be able to do more going forward without pushing too hard on what the people can accommodate.
And on my last question about women who are in focus all over the world, not including in your country, and let me just get this straight, because an Olympic runner was murdered in Kenya by her former partner. You have one of the highest rates of violence against women in Africa.
Taxes which are
lots and lots of cases.
Few and scarce.
Why do you think this is still going on in Kenya? Why are women so unsafe, and what is the government doing about it?
People came out onto the streets.
We have
tried to restore order. There were many people in those protests who were killed.
Women have space.
And then you had to walk
women
it all
have
back.
scope.
So
women have the latitude to be able to discharge their responsibility, to be able to discharge what they do, to be able to go about their business. And isolated cases like the one of the murdered international athlete and must not color what the place of women in Kenya. Democracy. Women in Kenya are robustly participating in the governance of our country. We have women governors, we have women members of parliament, we have women politicians, we have women business people, and they are doing a great job. And it is my intention, even as we look at reviewing the Constitution, in Nairobi, to get more women to participate in leadership and governance. That burned down Parliament.
Mr. President, William Ruto, thank you for joining us from the United Nations.
Those